Hello, and welcome to Classical Numismatic Group. My name is Mike Gasvoda. I'm the Managing Director here at C&G. Today I'd like to talk to you about our fixed price list, or Classical Numismatic Review, which is going to go live at the ANA show in Rosemont, Illinois. And we have a very special collection that we'd like to tell you about that is part of that fixed price list. We are able to bring to you over 50 coins from the Mougin Museum of Classical Art. And these coins are going to be offered at fixed prices, and it is just a fabulous collection, along with more than 150 other additional coins, some of which we'll talk about in individual videos that'll be posted on this same site. But specifically right now, I'd like to talk to you about one of the highlights of the collection that came from the museum, and that is a collection of 12 Caesars in gold. And it's certainly a desired goal of almost any numismatist of Roman numismatics to have this set. You rarely ever see it anymore offered at fixed prices. It almost always appears at auction. So we're really excited to have this available, not just because of the 12 coins themselves, but because so many numismatists don't get the chance to see all 12 Caesars in gold at one time. And if you come to our booth during the show, unless individual coins have been sold, you'll get a chance to see all 12 of them, and we're pretty excited about that. And so I have the 12 coins here, and obviously starts with Julius Caesar and ends with Domitian, but it is a wonderful group of coins that was used to complement the arms and armor portion of the museum. Each of these coins is going to be listed individually for sale. So if you're looking to fill a hole, you don't have to buy the entire set, which would be prohibitive, of course, in cost for most of us. But I am going to talk about a couple of these coins individually in a couple separate videos. And I do want to say, though, that it is a rare highlight for us to offer something like this. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about the difficulty or ease of collecting this set. So obviously, when we look at the set of 12 Caesars, we're going to begin with Julius Caesar. And this is far and away the most difficult coin to get a portrait of in gold, as there were 7 of one type under Octavian and just 2 under Mark Antony in private hands. And so we generally settle for a non-portrait issue of Julius Caesar, and typically it's this style, which is the veiled head, a female Venus figure with the implements of the auguryship on the reverse. And this is really a nice example of this particular type, but this is the most common coin for Julius Caesar. You will eventually be able to find in the grade and the budget, hopefully, that you can afford. We move on to Augustus. Augustus is, of course, one of the most common of the rulers to find. However, his coins are not so common in high grade in gold, and this is actually a rather rare reverse type. This relates to the return of the Parthian standards that were lost by Crassus during the First Civil War. And this coin is good VF and actually quite rare in that condition. But Augustus, you can choose to find a rare type, you can choose to find a common type, but you will find them in most grades. They do get, though, rather rare in high grade. And then we get to certainly the most common coin of all in high grade, or really any grade, and that is Tiberius. And Tiberius, this would be, of course, in the gold version of what we call the tribute penny, with Livia seated as Pax on the reverse. And this coin was minted for basically the duration of Tiberius's life, both in silver and in gold. It's a fairly common coin, and if I had a slant for collecting this type in either metal, I would look for a good portrait style and, of course, a coin that's nicely centered. This happens to be both. It's really a beautiful coin. Probably then the most difficult coin in the entire series is Caligula. Caligula is tough both in silver and in gold, but particularly so in gold. And this happens to be the type of Caligula with Agrippina on the reverse, a very popular type, so you kind of get 2 figures for the price of 1 coin. And This coin is VF to good VF, nicely centered, wonderful portraits on both sides, and frankly, pretty rare in this grade and above. So really a nice example that the museum had here. Then we come to Claudius. Claudius is ironically, I think, the most difficult of the 12 Caesars to find in silver in high grade. However, he's not quite as rare in gold because he did strike a lot of gold coins during his reign. And there are two distinct styles. This is the realistic style, which is the one I particularly like, with the wreath reverse. It's actually quite a nice coin, again in VF, good VF, but perfectly centered, and really an attractive candidate for a 12 Caesar set. Nero. Nero is fun to me because you can collect Nero from a child image under Claudius to all the way to a rather gluttonous adult towards the end of his reign, and everything really in between. This is an interesting coin because it's the Temple of Janus reverse, and of course the Temple of Janus is important because the doors are only closed when Rome is at peace. And this is an image of the temple with the doors closed. So Nero was declaring to the world that Rome was at peace for one of the few times in its history. So really a cool type. Nero is kind of a fun subset to collect in gold or silver all on his own, but this is actually really a neat coin with a nice historical background. Galba, we get into the year of the four emperors with Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and Vespasian. These coins are all really pretty tough to find. Galba, again, has two distinct styles, the realistic kind of gluttonous portrait and the kind of stern, thin-faced portrait. This is the gluttonous one, and nicely centered coin of one of the really tough emperors to find in gold, although not the most expensive, because he does exist quite a bit in lower grades. Then one of my favorite coins in the set is Otho. Otho is extremely difficult to find in gold, in nice condition with good style portrait, and the coins always command strong attention when they appear at auction. I love this coin. It's just a fabulous portrait coin, beautifully centered. It's got a nicely centered reverse as well, nice hidden luster to it in different spots, and I think they really did a wonderful job in finding a great example at the museum when they selected this Otho. This is probably my favorite coin of all of them in the set because of just how hard I know this coin is to come by. And then we come to the last really of the difficult rulers, and that is Vitellius. And here again, it's a coin with some hidden luster and Pontiff Maxim reverse, which kind of takes us back to the Tiberius reverse that you saw with Livia on the back of the so-called tribute penny. But this is a beautiful Vitellius, nicely centered, and a coin that would really fit into a high-end collection. It's just a beautiful coin. And then we come to the Flavians, Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian. All three of them are rather easier to find in gold. In fact, probably the easiest three to find in gold. And what you want to look for is what you see in all three of these examples, and that is nice centering, some luster on this coin. Vespasian minted, of course, in many types as he was trying to restore order to the empire, as did his son Titus, who became co-ruler with him for much of his reign. And we have, again, a nice bit of luster on this coin, and really nicely centered, a beautiful portrait of Titus, and Annona on the reverse here. And then we finally end with Domitian. I think the interesting thing about Domitian is, I don't know if he was proud of himself or his engravers were proud of him, but look at how large his portrait is on this coin. Without a doubt, the largest portraits that you'll see in the 12 Caesars appear for Domitian, and very lifelike, I might add. So I mean, really beautiful coinage, but here you get some luster again, and you get the Germanicus reverse because Domitian was trying to equal himself with Vespasian and Titus, who of course had won the Jewish War. Domitian didn't have that luxury, so he made up a victory in Germany and declared himself Germanicus. And so that's what this reverse is. So a very significant reverse on a very cool coin with a really attractive portrait. And so that's the 12 Caesar set that's here, but it's kind of a brief description of what you find when trying to collect this set. It is a set that can be put together, but it takes patience. It's a lot of work. And in my way of thinking, it's a lot of fun because I like the thrill of the chase as much as I like the owning of the coins. And this will certainly give you the thrill of the chase when you look at 12 Caesars in gold. And we hope to see you at the show, and we hope we can have you play with the 12 Caesars in gold. Thank you for being a customer of C&G, and we appreciate your patronage.